So did you see this? A professor who was fired over a social media post about the killing of Charlie Kirk is now being reinstated. On top of that, he's getting $500,000 in a settlement.
According to the New York Times, Professor Darren Michael teaches acting and directing at Austin Peay State University in Tennessee. The New York Times article says, in part, weighing in on Mr. Kirk's assassination in a Facebook post on September 12th, Professor Michael shared a Newsweek article from 2023 that included a quote from Mr. Kirk about the importance of upholding the right to bear arms. The abrupt firing, which the university acknowledged soon afterwards had violated the professor's due process rights, was made after the professor's post drew a backlash from conservatives, including Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee. Senator Blackburn posted a screenshot of Professor Michael's post and tagged the university in it. Professor Michael was fired later that day. The university put out a statement at the time calling his post insensitive, disrespectful, and interpreted by many as propagating justification for unlawful death. That led to a 3-month-long battle, which ended with his settlement and reinstatement last week.
Meanwhile, in another similar case, teachers in Texas are suing their state's education agency and its commissioner, Mike Morath. The Texas branch of American Federation of Teachers claims there have been unlawful investigations into some public school teachers because of comments they made after Charlie Kirk was killed. The Texas Education Agency said in September it was investigating the posts, and as a result, some teachers were suspended and even fired. The lawsuit filed by the teachers union says, quote, the First Amendment rights granted to all American citizens, including public school teachers and other employees, protect their ability to comment on current events through their personal accounts on social media platforms, which are outside of their school roles and their official duties. Unfortunately, recent actions taken by the Texas Education Agency through Mr. Morath have violated these fundamental rights and chilled the protection of speech of public school teachers and other Texas AFT members. So, I mean, this is the thing. The party that calls for free speech most often can't try to tell people they can't say anything, like share an article that pointed out actual quotes that Charlie Kirk said. I've always been of the mindset, just because of how I was raised, is even in Kobe Bryant's passing, I said take a beat before everybody started writing these think pieces on how bad of a person they thought he was. Or with Charlie Kirk, it's like take a beat. This political violence is crazy. The same example, that plane crash is crazy. We should address the moment. If you're a journalist, maybe part of your job is to report all the details, but I think everybody rushing to judgment always in moments of people grieving when they had 365 days a year when the person was alive to say all these different thoughts is weird to me. But that's just a personal thing. I saw the post and it didn't call for violence in any way, so I know that could lead to immediate firing, and also kind of is not protected by free speech. And also, I think that the state made a firm decision that it was cheaper and safer to pay him out and settle this rather than to fight, because they understand that his rights were impeded. And I think the university quickly understood that by reinstating him, putting him on suspension. And I think there was a lot going on, and people were like, okay, we rushed to judgment because Marsha Blackburn said something about it. We immediately reacted to government feedback about this. We knew that the issue could get bigger than it was, and we decided to react with a knee jerk rather than what the law allows or what our even school rules allow. And now, instead of being sued into oblivion, we rather just pay $500,000. It's probably less than a civil lawsuit.
Yeah, I think there's a distinction in the comments made after the assassination between people basically saying negative things about Charlie's political opinions and his character versus actively celebrating the assassination. This falls into the former category. I do think it represents poor judgment on his part to immediately try to throw up this post insinuating, oh, well, Charlie Kirk was a bad guy, so whatever. But he is a university professor. I have a bigger problem with the public school teachers in the K through 12 who were popping off about the Charlie Kirk assassination. You're teaching children. You're supposed to be shepherding these young people to develop good moral character. Now, the parents should be first on that, but if you're going to be in school for 8 hours a day, ideally you want a teacher who is going to help your child develop good moral character, and to use your public platforms to try to slander or speak poorly about someone who was just killed on camera at a public event is very, very poor judgment. And so I didn't have as much of a problem with the K through 12 teachers who were either celebrating or justifying the assassination. This one's kind of an edge case to me, this professor.
Okay. So you're saying like there's more merit in the younger school teacher case as opposed to the professor case. Yeah, I think with free speech, it's this slippery slope where we want it and we're saying that we allow it in this country, but I need to know what every single teacher that's being investigated in Texas said specifically, because it's one thing if you don't like what somebody said versus if somebody called for violence. I think it's still disgusting to celebrate Charlie Kirk's murder in any way, but which part of it is illegal? And so you don't want somebody like that perhaps morally teaching your kids, but your kids are going to go through 12 years of possibly different teachers, and you never know some of their thoughts if they keep them in quiet. And so I would hate to find out that my teacher is saying something that I wholly and fundamentally disagree with for Kinsley. But I'm sure over the course of her kindergarten through 12th grade, maybe one teacher at least is going to be somebody that I maybe vehemently disagree with on at least one topic. I mean, that's the name of the game. And so even though they went on their personal social platforms and did this, I could understand if you're a mom and see that and like, I don't want somebody who has these thoughts teaching my kid, but that's inevitably.
And it's not even having the
happen.
thoughts. To me, it's the lack of judgment where you feel the need to post them publicly, right? Like some thoughts are inside thoughts. And if you lack the self-control or the impulse control that you just have to weigh in on this guy getting assassinated, to me, that is where the lack of judgment comes in. And I'm like, I don't know that I can trust you around my child if you can't even stop yourself from hitting tweet.
Well, the thing is also, like, I'm more fearful of those inside thoughts. If somebody has inside thoughts, let's use an extreme example, like some racist thoughts. Well, you're teaching my black kid now, and I don't know because you don't share it on social media, but inherently you could treat them a little bit different just because you have some inside thoughts. So I would almost rather know what I'm dealing with than not know what I'm dealing with in certain ways. And I think some people who do that, at least for the friends, a lot of my friends from high school use Facebook extensively and go on these rants. And I would always like to know who I'm dealing with, as opposed to at Collins from Texas, a lot of people there smile. And I don't know what I'm dealing with. You could love me or hate me, but it's always a smile. No shade to Texas. I'm just saying in New York, we're kind of blunt. And so that's just for me always, I grew up kind of knowing who I'm dealing with, I feel like, in New York. And I appreciate if I could just know what your cards are on the table. I'd rather you be an overly tweeting, overly Facebooking teacher so I can be like, yeah, I'm going to try to get Kinsley a new teacher. And then make that decision for myself.
Fair enough.
Next up, the Trump administration is reportedly thinking of paying Greenland residents up to $100,000 to encourage them to secede from Denmark, the territory to the U.S. Don't go anywhere.